Hi, this is Mrs. Gowanlock. The purpose of this video is to give you a little bit of information so you can get started with the elements and principles of design assignment. This assignment is to be completed using Adobe InDesign. We've been working with that software, and I know we've just gotten started with the software, but I really want you to use it for working on the assignment. So I think a good place to start would be to review the learning goals for the activity, and then I will go into showing you the setup and how you can get started with it. I did cover this information in class last week, but it was fairly quick, and I know there were some students that were away. And if you have, or if there are any questions that you were wondering about, or you just need a review on how to get started with the assignment, hopefully this video will help you. And if, of course, you have any concerns or questions, please email me, and I will do my best to check and respond to those emails as quickly as I can. Okay. So I've got the grade 11 homepage open right now, and if I just scroll through this a bit, you'll see right here in the announcement feed that we have the elements and principles of design. So there's sort of two things that you're going to be presenting information on, the elements of design as well as the principles of design. So there are 7 elements, and we'll be looking at 7 principles. So collectively in total, there'll be 14. Let's take a look at the activity. And you might notice here as well that there is a video, a couple of videos here on the design process, a video explaining elements and principles of design, and you might want to take a look at that. It gives a lot of valuable information. There is a link for some other examples of elements and principles of design, and as well as a couple more links on that. And then there's another link here for a sample that was put together. It is by no means perfect, but it just gives you a little bit of a visual on something that you could be putting together. I might also note here that I am going to have you Dropbox this file, but you can't send me it as an InDesign file. I won't be able to open it because I won't, most likely you won't be sending me all your images that you're putting into the file. So suffice it to say that you don't need to hand it in before I return. But once I do come back, I will show you how to export it as a portable document file, and then we'll be able to Dropbox it from there. So I'm just going to click on the activity itself, and let me just clean up the space and get the assignment sheet full screen here, so hopefully you can see it a little bit better. So as we scroll through, just take a quick look at the elements of design, and that includes, and this is not exhaustive list. There are other designers might include other elements as well as other principles of design. So these lists are not exhaustive. These are just 7 elements that we typically would use in graphic design. The first is line. Then we have texture, shape, form, value, color, and space. So those are the basic essentials that we have that we are working with. And as you start to investigate each of those elements, you'll have a richer understanding of what they're all about. The principles of design is something that's slightly different, and that includes balance, rhythm, pattern, movement, contrast, emphasis, and unity. Those, the basic philosophy there is we work with the principles of design to organize the elements of design. Again, might seem a little bit abstract at this point in time, but as you get into this assignment and as you learn more about those principles of design, you'll see how important it is that you are always thinking about these things as you are putting your different types of designs together. And it doesn't matter if it's for print or for web or for mobile devices or if it's on the movie or on your television screen. You always have these sorts of things. Elements and principles of design should be in the back of your mind. Learning goals for the assignment: demonstrate an understanding of the elements of design and understand that terminology. The same thing with the principles of design. You've got to understand that terminology. Apply knowledge and understanding of elements and principle design in the collection of images. So you're going to be gathering images to put on each of these slides. So each image is going to be reflective of the slide that it is on. Apply critical thinking to the photo selection and analysis. So with that particular learning goal, I'm really hoping that if you are working on the slide on texture, for example, that element of design texture, then I really would like you to use, I mean, not only have a definition there, but also use your own words to explain the evidence of texture within that photo that you have placed. So your slides should really have the definition, but also, you know, one or two sentences explaining the evidence of the element in that particular photo. And lastly, I know the assignment sheet says PowerPoint, and in previous years, students had used PowerPoint, but for putting this slideshow together. But I would really like you to use InDesign. I want you to develop that skill set, and the only way you're going to get comfortable using the software is to use it. So I know it says PowerPoint here, but I really want you to try to use InDesign, and that is why I'm doing this video, to demonstrate that. Okay. Success criteria is down here for you. And again, you might see reference to PowerPoint within the criteria, but I want you to interpret that as InDesign, Adobe InDesign. All right, let's head over into InDesign and let's get the setup going. So once we get into Adobe InDesign, how do we get here again? Start at the Windows menu, and then you need to scroll and open up the Adobe Master Collection. That's in the letter A section. Click in there, and as you scroll through the list, you will see ID, which is InDesign. That's just the initials for InDesign there. And once you've got that opened up, this splash screen will come up. Just start by clicking on a new document. And this dialog box is very important. The intent set for print. Please turn the facing pages off. Deselect that. Number of pages, you should have 15. So one for an opening introductory, like a title page, and then you've got 7 elements of design and then 7 principles of design, totaling 15. Size of pages, letter, I know that's pretty big, but don't worry about that. It gives you lots of room to work with. The orientation, if you wouldn't mind landscaping it, that I think would present better on most monitors or screens. Landscape orientation would be best. Don't worry about the columns. Margins are set here at 3 picas, which is the same thing as a ½ inch. Just leave it. That's fine. Make sure that number of slides is 15, or number of pages is 15. Deselect. Make sure that's not selected. Make sure primary text box is not selected either, and then click OK. All right, so here we go. Here is our opening slide, and you can see as I just scroll down through the document, we've got all 15. We've got lots of screens there. Let's go back to the top. So here's your first slide. Please remember a couple of those really important tools that we've been working with in InDesign. The selection tool, that's your go-to tool for moving, for deleting, for resizing, all those good things. Got to use the selection tool. The other thing that we've been working with is the type tool. So let's start with that. And you notice your I-bar and the dotted box or dotted frame around the I-bar. Again, that's an indicator that you are going to be clicking and you're able to drag and create a text box. Position the text box about the size you want it. I mean, this is fine. And this is just the title page. So I'm just going to say elements and principles of design. Please make sure that you're not this is not a principal like Principal Probozansky. It's principal, so just make sure that you're spelling that correctly, please. That's a common typographic error that I see, and I think it's super important as we're doing this work that you pay attention to your typography. Now you might notice here I've got a broken word. I don't want broken words. And so I'm just going to hit and enter there and just sort of position that. If you need to double click and change a word, and maybe I want to put an amp sign instead, that's totally fine. There we go. Now, you want to move that around, go to your selection tool and you can reposition that wherever you want. Now in my case here, I would like to put a picture in just to get out of the gate. I want a picture. I'm going to go and find a picture from just from Chrome. So let's pop over to Chrome and go to a new tab. And I'm just going to, let's just take line as an example. That will be our first element of design, but I'm just going to put a picture of line and the use of line. on my title page. So I would think the best way to search for these for the types of photos you want to use is I'm just going to put in elements of design, and I'm going to put in line, and I'm going to put in examples. And I think you will find that when you go into images, and if you search like this, elements of design or principles of design, unity, elements of design, texture, you're going to find it's much easier to find examples of that. And you can really see these are, again, these are elements of design that we put on the page, and you can see how line is used in so many different ways within art. So once you find an image that you would like to work with, I would highly, highly recommend that you follow. Don't just copy and paste pictures. Once you find an image, you need to right click and save image as. And I know this seems very specific, but this is the best way to do what we're going to be doing. So don't just copy off the internet, save image as. Where do you save that image to? Once your dialog box comes up, remember, start at this PC. That is I've done this in class many times. Start at this PC. Now, as you know, realize that I am not at school right now, so I don't have access to the school server. I do have access to my local hard drive, but you need to go in the network drives, and you need to select your H drive and go to our period 1 Comtech folder. And you probably have a folder set up in there, or if you don't, you should be setting up a folder for elements and principles of design so you can gather up all your assets and keep them all together in one folder. So I am going to go in because I'm on my local drive here. I am going to just go into my drives here. Oh, and let's just make sure I can get in. And I'm just going to set up a new folder on this local drive. And I know you've done this before, right click and new folder. And I'm just going to call that elements and principles of design. And let's go in there. Now this particular picture that I'm downloading was a picture of line, and I might even want to be more specific and say element of design line. And you can be as clear as you want with your naming structure. I just think it's a good idea because it makes it really easy to find your images afterwards. So you've got that, and let's save that, and that's all done. And let's head back over to InDesign, and I want to place a picture. We've done this before, but let's just go through this again. Remember the box with the X in the middle of it? That is your rectangle frame tool, and let's draw that on. You can notice that this box is still selected. You see the handles there? I am a big fan of going to the selection tool because then it allows me to resize the picture really easily. So once I place my rectangle and remember it's got to have the X in the middle of it. That's the rectangle frame tool. The box is selected. We're going to go under File, Place, Not Open, Place. And we need to now find our picture, and here it comes up. And let's start at this PC because I know that's where I saved it. There it is, Elements and Principles of Design. And my picture is not there yet. Okay, I'm back again. Those of you might have noticed when I just paused my recording only because I'm afraid I'm going to run out of time here. But I did have a problem with that download. That particular image I was using, I didn't notice at the time when I was downloading it to my folder that it was the wrong format. It wasn't a JPEG. So you make sure you pay attention when you're downloading pictures. Or saving pictures from the internet, make sure they are as JPEG. I'll review that in a moment. Hopefully, again, I won't run out of time here. So back in InDesign here, I've got my my picture box selected. Let's go to that File, Place again. So under the File menu, down to Place. Let's start at this PC because that's what we're doing. And I'm going onto my local drive, Elements and Principles of Design, and there is the image. It is a JPEG this time. My other one, unfortunately, was not. So I'm going to open that. Now remember, it's most likely going to be too big and it's not going to be proportionate to the size of the frame. This is your strategy. This is your easiest strategy. With your mouse, right click, not on the bullseye, because you can see that when I click on the bullseye, that's the bounding box of the photo. Don't do that. Just click on the side, not the bullseye. Right click on your mouse and go down to Fit Content Proportionally. And now you can see that the image fits. And if you want to, just from a tidying up perspective, I usually just pull those handles in a bit just to make that a little bit more presentable. So